Welcome to Newsbeacon, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. The year 2025 began with a seismic shift in global trade, sending shockwaves through boardrooms, factories, and households around the world. The international marketplace, once defined by a delicate balance of cooperation and competition, was suddenly thrown into turmoil. Headlines blared with news of new policies, and the world watched as the United States took a bold, controversial step. The Trump administration, returning to power with a promise to put America first, escalated its economic conflict with China to levels not seen in decades. The rhetoric was fierce, and the actions even fiercer, as the administration announced sweeping new tariffs and restrictions on Chinese goods. The goal was clear: protect American industries, revive domestic manufacturing, and bring back jobs that had been lost to overseas competition. Factories that had long stood silent began to hum with activity once more as workers returned with cautious optimism. Tariffs soared to an unprecedented 145%, making Chinese imports prohibitively expensive for American businesses and consumers alike. Everyday products from electronics to clothing suddenly carried much higher price tags, and retailers scrambled to adjust. Supporters of the policy saw it as a necessary correction to decades of what they called unfair trade practices. They envisioned a new era of American self-reliance, with the iconic Made in America label once again taking center stage in stores and homes across the country. But critics were quick to sound the alarm. Economists warned that the tariffs would inevitably lead to higher consumer prices, squeezing household budgets and fueling inflation. Many feared that China would retaliate, sparking a trade war with consequences that could ripple across the globe. Global corporations, many of which had built their business models on complex international supply chains, suddenly found themselves navigating a minefield. Shipments were delayed, costs soared, and the future of cross-border commerce was thrown into doubt. The tariff wall blocked business plans, forcing CEOs and executives to make difficult, sometimes painful choices. Some companies considered moving operations back to the U.S., while others looked for new partners in countries untouched by the trade conflict. The full impact of these sweeping changes was just beginning to be felt. For many, the future looked dangerously unpredictable, with markets in turmoil and businesses bracing for whatever might come next. As the world adjusted to this new economic reality, one thing was certain: the era of easy global trade was over, and a new, more uncertain chapter had begun. Tesla, a crown jewel of American innovation, has long been celebrated for pushing the boundaries of electric vehicle technology and redefining what's possible in the automotive world. With its sleek designs, cutting-edge software, and ambitious vision for a sustainable future, Tesla has become a symbol of American ingenuity and global leadership in the EV market. But even the most forward-thinking companies can find themselves vulnerable to forces beyond their control. In 2024, Tesla found itself in the crosshairs of a sweeping new U.S. trade policy. The company, like many in the tech and automotive sectors, relies heavily on a complex web of global suppliers, especially for advanced electronic components sourced from China. These parts are essential for everything from battery management systems to the sophisticated sensors that power Tesla's self-driving features. This reliance exposed a major vulnerability. As the U.S. government imposed steep tariffs on Chinese imports, Tesla's supply chain was suddenly at risk. Executives scrambled to assess the impact, knowing that even a short disruption could halt production lines and delay critical launches. The initial 34% tariff was a significant hurdle, but one Tesla could navigate with careful planning and cost adjustments. However, when tariffs skyrocketed to an unprecedented 145%, the financial strain became overwhelming. The cost of importing key components soared, making it nearly impossible to maintain profitability on new models. Importing parts for the highly anticipated Cybercab and the next-generation semi-truck became financially unfeasible. Shipments were delayed or canceled, and assembly lines that once buzzed with activity ground to a halt, leaving unfinished vehicles and idle workers in their wake. Faced with mounting losses and no clear path forward, Tesla made the difficult decision to suspend its U.S. production plans for these models, postponing trial runs and pushing back launch dates indefinitely. The move sent shockwaves through the industry and disappointed fans eagerly awaiting the latest innovations. gigafactories in Texas and Nevada, once bustling hubs of activity and optimism, were left in limbo. Workers faced uncertainty about their jobs, and local economies braced for the ripple effects of stalled production. Ironically, the tariffs, intended to bolster American manufacturing and protect domestic jobs, ended up hindering the very companies they were meant to help. Advanced robotics and state-of-the-art assembly lines sat unused while skilled workers waited for answers. The situation underscored just how interconnected and fragile global supply chains have become. A single policy change in Washington or Beijing can send shockwaves across continents, disrupting production schedules and reshaping entire industries overnight. As headlines blared about the escalating trade war and diplomatic tensions mounted, Tesla's predicament became a cautionary tale for multinational companies everywhere. In a world where economies are deeply intertwined, the consequences of geopolitical conflict can be swift, severe, and far-reaching. When the United States imposed sweeping tariffs on Chinese goods, China responded with swift and decisive countermeasures of its own. The Chinese government, determined to show it would not back down, announced a series of retaliatory tariffs targeting key American exports. These measures were not just symbolic, they were carefully chosen to hit industries and products where it would hurt the most, sending a clear message to Washington that China was prepared to defend its economic interests. Among the most impactful of these counter-tariffs was a staggering 125% import duty on U.S.-built vehicles. This move was designed to make American cars prohibitively expensive for Chinese consumers, effectively shutting out U.S. automakers from one of the world's largest and fastest-growing automotive markets. The new tariffs were immediately felt at Chinese ports, where customs officials began enforcing the higher duties on every American-made vehicle that arrived. For Tesla, the impact was immediate and dramatic. The Model S and Model X, already considered premium vehicles, suddenly became even more expensive, so much so that they were priced out of reach for most Chinese buyers. Showrooms that once buzzed with excitement now stood quiet, with empty spaces where cars used to be displayed. Facing plummeting demand, Tesla made the difficult decision to stop taking new orders for these models in China. While these particular vehicles represented only a small fraction of Tesla's global sales, the move carried enormous symbolic weight. It signaled just how quickly international trade tensions could disrupt even the most innovative companies and reshape the competitive landscape. The escalating trade war didn't just affect car makers. It sent shockwaves through the broader business community, severing commercial ties that had taken years to build, and closing off lucrative markets for both sides. American and Chinese executives found themselves in tense negotiations, uncertain about the future of their partnerships. As tariffs mounted and uncertainty grew, the once seamless flow of goods and capital in the global auto industry began to grind to a halt. Factories slowed production, supply chains stalled, and the world watched as two economic giants squared off, reshaping the landscape of international trade. Amidst the chaos, Tesla's Gigafactory Shanghai emerged as a strategic lifeline. Producing cars locally, it was insulated from U.S.-China trade tensions. The Shanghai plant thrived, unaffected by tariffs, maintaining Tesla's strong market position. This localization strategy proved a masterstroke, shielding Tesla from international trade disputes. The Shanghai factory became a strategic anchor, highlighting the importance of localized production in a volatile world. Tariffs cast a shadow over Tesla's Cybercab and semi-truck, halting production plans. The 145% tariff on Chinese components delayed these revolutionary projects. Mass production was postponed, leaving customers and investors uncertain. The policies meant to protect American manufacturing ironically stalled American innovation. The trade war put Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, in a difficult position. Despite his ties to President Trump, the tariffs harmed Tesla's plans. Musk publicly supported free markets while privately lobbying for tariff exemptions. This highlighted the risks of business leaders entangled in politics. Musk's predicament was a case study in the complexities of political alliances. Tesla wasn't alone in facing trade war challenges. Industries across America felt the impact. Boeing faced halted deliveries to China, threatening its revenue stream. Boston Scientific projected a $200 million tariff impact, while AT&T faced higher costs. Some companies, like AkzoNobel, minimized exposure through localization. However, even they weren't immune to broader economic slowdowns. The trade war's macroeconomic consequences affected all, regardless of strategy. The trade war inadvertently bolstered China's EV industry. U.S. tariffs and Chinese countermeasures created a protected ecosystem for Chinese brands. Domestic companies captured a larger market share, filling the void left by American competitors. China's dominance in the EV supply chain was reinforced, highlighting its strategic importance. The 2025 trade war marked a pivotal moment for global commerce and the EV revolution. The era of unfettered globalization faced a fundamental challenge. Geopolitical alliances and national policies became crucial in shaping trade. The EV industry saw the emergence of parallel ecosystems, slowing innovation. The standoff between the U.S. and China was a debate about the future of the global economy. Success would depend on navigating a complex geopolitical landscape.